What's up, people? I am back for another video. Like the Marvel one we did a couple days ago. I figure, why not talk about what I would do with DC, since DC is just because I'm more of a DC guy. I mean, I love both, but I've always definitely been more of a DC guy, and just to see the state DC's in now, and it's just both companies, but DC, I would argue they're worse because they're just following Marvel. Like, they're following, let's just bring in these bullshit Mantle characters that no one cares about for, obviously, like, diversity reasons, not telling good stories, and just shitting out a bunch of movies that, and like I said, I like what they were going to do, and then they just never, we all know the story, so it's a case where I figure, why not I throw my ideas on what we should do with DC, because I think DC easily could be great, and they don't understand. For one, no more, I think the biggest issue I've had with DC, and I don't want to make this a rant, but I just want to mention this really quick. I don't like that one of the things they're trying to do, like, let's do these side characters, when it's like, sorry, like, you don't have to do it like Marvel, where we got to do a bunch of unknown. You don't have to do that. You have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. We got to lean in on those characters. At least give Superman, like, 2 films and maybe a Justice League before we're already, like, let's do, like, so that is where we're going to be doing. We're going to be focusing on the core Justice League. No, the Suicide Squad, I'm honestly, I'm not doing. I think they have been overdone. I like them as a team, and I think they can be done well. It's just, I'm over them now. They've been, like, just spammed to death. But, so what I'm gonna do, I figure what I want, and we're not doing what James Gunn is doing, the whole connected thing. I think that's stupid, because you wouldn't have gotten, like, the Arkham games, because imagine if they did it at that then, you would have had, like, the Arkham games, basically like the Nolan trilogy. So I figure you gotta have them separate. So one of the things I figure we start with is Superman. You gotta get Superman right. Ideally, this is in a perfect world where maybe I renegotiate with Henry Cavill to come back and we do Superman. And, while I did like what Snyder was doing, I do think we kind of need to move away from Dark Superman. And when I mean Dark Superman, I more mean what he was doing, but we do need Superman. I don't want full on, like, Donner. I think you can have a balance. I think, like, animated series Superman. That is ideally what I want. Is you do it in that tone. You bring in bigger scale villains. I think we need to move on from Lex Luthor. You can have him be a reoccurring villain throughout, but he needs to not be the main anymore. I think they're stuck on either Lex Luthor or Zod's a good villain too, but it's like he's not the only other villain. Bring in, like, a Parasite. You bring in a Bizarro, or Metallo actually works for a first Superman movie. Lex Luthor can be, like, the villain in the background, and Metallo's, like, the physical villain. I think that is the direction you go. You have a really good score. Have it be serious. Have some big fights. Because I think that's the thing. Superman, yeah, you can have scenes where he is saving people. Like, in between, like, you can have a scene where he saved, kind of maybe like a scene like, the only really good scene from Superman Returns is the plane scene. So maybe something like that. But I do want fights, because at the end of the day, he does save, animals, but he is a world planetary protector superhero. You can't have a hero like that and not have big fights. So ideally, that's how you do it with Batman. I say, because clearly Ben Affleck doesn't want to do it, so I'm not going to go with Ben Affleck. It would be just a different Batman, whoever. But we do him I say we go maybe year 5, because that's, like, prime Batman. He's been doing it for a couple years. You have an established Joker. We don't do Joker first, though. He is a villain. We maybe do it in the 2nd or 3rd movie. We do, like, I say first, do, like, a Deathstroke. I think he works as an open villain. Deathstroke may be hired by like a Two-Face or a Black Mask. Actually, Black Mask. I'm actually thinking we do Black Mask, right? Because I watched Under the Red Hood, which actually I'm thinking about reviewing at some point. But I want to get a Black Mask done right. Like, he is such a good villain. Get a good actor to play him, and have him be a legit, like, and he hires Deathstroke, and that can be the movie. And then, yeah, you have a Dick Grayson, who's already Nightwing, or on the cusp of being Nightwing. That's the idea I kind of want to go with. Like, by the next movie, he's basically Nightwing. And then the next movie, you bring in, like, a Tim Drake. You have the tone be serious. I'm going to do it. It needs to be R-rated. I think, maybe not this specific movie, but, like, when we bring in characters like Zaz, or if you want to adapt Long Halloween live action, Dark Knight Returns, definitely. That needs to be R-rated. You can't do PG-13. So this is certain characters we need to understand are R-rated. But we're leaning in mainly on the core league first. I think this is where they're going off the tracks now. So we then do a Wonder Woman movie, but do it in the tone of, honestly, just do it like God of War. Have her fight like a bunch of monsters, trying to protect, Themyscira and humanity. And then the villain, honestly, Cheetah. But do an accurate Cheetah. Get a good actress to be Cheetah, to counter Wonder Woman. And maybe that can be the first one, and then the second one is more into the gods. And that's when you could do Ares. Because I think Ares is a villain you kind of build up to. Because Ares is probably her biggest, well, after Cheetah, second biggest villain. But he gets more, in a way, because he's more tied to her actual, like, because he's, tied to her lore. That's why I kind of see him as a bit different, But, and have a really good score. And yeah, you can have a mix where she's the diplomat, kind of like the animated series, but she's still a warrior. Because at the end of the day, she is a warrior. She was raised as a warrior. And there are comics where she's straight up, she does not, like, she doesn't have a no-kill rule. She'll kill a motherfucker if she has to. So, and then the Green Lantern movie, you can do kind of like a buddy cop thing. Maybe not, this is where you can have different tones, and it can be a little bit lighthearted. And you do Sinestro straight up. Have this one, Sinestro is an established villain. He has his own Yellow Lantern Corps. Then in the later movies, you can bring in the other Corps. But I think you have it in space. Just space cops, and essentially that's all you really have to do with Green Lantern. You don't have to do much space cops with some intergalactic battles here and there. And then eventually, I would say after this is where you do a Trinity movie. Maybe it starts off as a world's finest movie initially, and like not like how BBS did it, like legit, like it's a world's finest movie, like where Batman and Superman meet up. And this is where you can have like Joker and Lex maybe as the villains, and then then you can bring in Wonder Woman for a Trinity movie, and then you set up the Justice League that way. And Justice League, this is where you bring in your dark sides, and then by the Superman sequel, you can bring in like Supergirl, but accurate Supergirl, not like how the CW did her. So for me, with back to the Batman, they do bring in Joker. Ideally, my version is we do the Arkham. Like, I think that Joker would work. Live action, I think he's perfect. Have him. That's why I was saying R-rated, because one thing I feel like the movies have never really captured is how dark the Joker can truly be. We kind of gotten it a little. I mean, not counting Joaquin Phoenix's, but like a little bit of the Dark Knight, where you do get it a little bit. But I feel like we need more. We need more, like, because Joker, there's stories where he straight up killed kids. So it's like we kind of need more of that. And also, as much, you know, I've talked about this a lot, that I'm over Harley as a character, but in this instance, I'm bringing Harley in, but we're not doing the feminist Deadpool Harley. I'm tired of that version. That's what she just comes off as. Now, ever since they broke her up from the Joker, she just feels like just DC's attempt at Deadpool, and it just doesn't work. You know, so we're going back to like Harley with the Joker. That is where she belongs. And people can get all mad and say, "Oh well," and then maybe at some point they can break up. You got to do it right. She has to be with the Joker. So, and yeah, so we're going back to classic Harley. But yeah, we do the Justice League. We eventually do like Supergirl. You bring in for a Superman 2, you can do like a Bizarro. I mean, not Brainiac for a villain, because I think he's one who he needs to be adapted. I think you can do him right. He is very well done. He's almost one you can almost bring in other Justice League for. But I just think DC can just be, so we need to focus on, and then Aquaman eventually, and that needs to have a more serious tone. You know, touch more on the Atlantean lore, because I think that's the other thing I feel like the Momoa movie didn't really touch on much. Well, they kind of did in Justice League, but not really in the Aquaman movie. It was very surface level if they did. It was just, I think we need more. I think Aquaman should be one that's long, kind of like Thor. It should be similar in tone with the original Thor, the first Thor, where, you know, they lean into the gods. So with Aquaman, it should lean into that Atlantean stuff. And we need more scenes in Atlantis. I know that's a lot of CGI, but if you can make it look really good, it's fine. Get some really good actors, and you do a Black Manta, probably for your first villain. Have him team up with Thor. That can be the story. Have it be a bit more serious tone. Get a recast for Mira. And have it be serious. And then eventually, and if you want to go more on the comedy side, yeah, you can do Flash. That's where you can have your comedy. Flash, maybe have it be a team-up movie. With, I wouldn't do Cyborg. As much as I like Cyborg, he kind of should just be with the Teen Titans. So maybe Flash can do a team-up movie with Green Lantern. I think because there's stories where they're buddies. In this version, Green Lantern, I would have a buddy, maybe Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. You know, Hal Jordan, maybe he's a bit younger. He's only been a Green Lantern for maybe 2 years. And Jon Stewart got the ring first. Have that be the story. And he can teach him the ropes with the and then and then the Flash movie, yeah, you can have him fight villains like Captain Cold. And eventually you do Flashpoint, but actually do it with Thomas Wayne. Get good actor to be Thomas Wayne. And that's when you have to make R-rated, because the Thomas Wayne stuff alone is pretty dark. And even the story itself is kind of dark. But that's like a Justice League later on kind of movie. But taking a break from the big movies, how I'm going to do the shows is, because I know with Marvel I was only talking the movies. I think I'm going to title it Movie Pitch, but I'm also going to mention a little bit of how I'm going to do the shows, live and cartoon. With DC, before I get into the cartoons, I think I'll start live action first. They did do live action shows, everyone knows Arrow, their shitty CW shows. But even before that, like Smallville. But for me, what we need to do, we gotta accept, it's weird. DC will do Superman shows, and I'm cool with that. We do a Superman show, but we put it like on HBO Max, have it be a big budget, have it maybe be a different version. None of this, no connected stuff. I think the TV stuff, I'm going to kind of just have it be its own thing. With Batman, this is the biggest one. We're doing Batman live action TV series in the style of Angel, where it's a different villain, or even like Supernatural, where it's a villain of the week, and Batman's doing more detective stuff. And this show, it maybe isn't as action packed, like let's say the movie is, because you want to lean more into the detective stuff because you have more time. And with Superman, have it be a bit more on the smaller scale. But yeah, I wouldn't do shows of every character. I don't like Wonder Woman. I think she's a theatrical character because like she fights gods and she just in general deals with gods. And Themyscira alone is very cinematic. You can't doing that on a TV show. Yeah, I get it. You can make the argument TV shows look really good now, but I'd almost even say, even with how good TV shows look, I still feel like you need a movie budget straight up for Themyscira for certain. Like Aquaman too. That's another one. You can't do that on a TV show unless it's animated. And now going to the animated. This is the other thing. DC needs to understand that I want to make it to where we go back. DC goes back to its glory of animated, because one of the things for a while that was carrying DC, well, besides the comics, was the animated series, because there was no movies at that time, because Batman and Robin really hurt their reputation. So the animated series carried them for a while. So I figure we got to go back to that. We do a Batman show, we do a Wonder Woman show, and some shows we do like darker, But yeah, like I think lean into it. Do a bunch of like we need a in my version of DC. I want these characters to be big, and then eventually, now back to the movies, we can then do characters like the Suicide Squad eventually. But actually, you got to do them right. You don't kill off characters like Rick Flag. You have them be a bit more like, you can have it be a darker humor, but it needs to be like dark humor, not like Guardians humor. They can't be heroes. They got to be straight up villains, because ultimately, you know what, I was thinking about it. Suicide Squad should be like Expendables tone, where they joke, but it's not like, I'm gonna say it, like Guardians humor. It's very much different. If you're gonna do Suicide Squad, it kind of should be dark version of Expendables, kind of like that, where they're kind of uncomfortable jokes. And it should be like Assault on Arkham. That's my ideal Suicide Squad movies. You do an Assault on Arkham or Hell to Pay. One of those two animated movies, which that'll be the other thing. We're going to get these animated movies right. Because I think the animated movies have kind of fallen off, so we need to get them right. I like the different universes. DC especially has been known for the whole multiverse thing. So having just everything connected makes no sense. So that's not how I'm going to do it. The movies are their own thing, and the movies are going to each be different too. Like, so characters like The Flash, yeah, is going to be a bit more lighthearted. Eventually, if we do characters like Blue Beetle and Martian Manhunter is definitely going to happen. He's one I think you can explore his character. I actually think he's one you can almost do in a TV show, in a way. That's tied. This is a TV show you can actually tie to the movies. But yeah, I want to focus on the core characters first. Have that first 2 or 3 phases be them. Then eventually you branch out and do other characters. And maybe in one of the later Justice League movies, you bring in like a Booster Gold or a Blue Beetle, but have them together. But I just don't think you don't have certain characters carry their own movie. But the other thing, I don't want everything connected to the point where like one thing that I love about Batman is with it written in the lore is that pretty much within Gotham, Batman has even told the League that Gotham's mine. If I need your help, I'll call. But largely, that's his. But even Superman comic is a Superman comic. I want to do the move. Like I said with Marvel. Sorry about that if you hear my cat. Like Marvel comics, I want to have them separate in their own, like within their own stories. You can have little references here and there. Like maybe there's a scene where Superman mentions Batman, but same with the Flash. The Flash movie is a Flash movie. Wonder Woman's story is Wonder Woman's story, unless maybe it's a story where maybe like a World's Finest. We're definitely going to do a World's Finest movie, because that would just make all the money. Get a Batman and Superman movie. do it. Like, I just think we gotta just do the big obvious picks first before we do later characters. So, but that's my so far pitch for DC. I definitely have more. I'm probably going to do a part 2 for both Marvel and DC because I definitely have more ideas, but I just didn't want to spout them off forever. So, but yeah, that's so far what I've got. Tomorrow, like I mentioned earlier, we'll be listing 5. Because I can only come up with 5 for 1980, but only for 81 for sure. I'm probably going to have at least either maybe 8, 9. I could probably have 10. We'll see. But for 1980, I'm going to be listing my 5 favorite movies from that year. We'll be doing that tomorrow. And then Tuesday, Man with the Golden Gun. Wednesday, we're going to do Dragged Across Concrete, because Screen Rant bitched about Mel Gibson. They bitched about that movie, so it kind of made me want to watch it. I've been kind of want to watch it since, so I figured why not take the opportunity this Wednesday and do it. So yeah, watch it on Wednesday. Then Thursday, Taken 2. Then Friday, Hills Have Eyes, the remake. And that's basically up until then. I may figure out what I'll do over the weekend, but yeah. But other than that, I'm gonna cheers and talk to y'all tomorrow. But talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.